Welcome to a Tuesday night edition of the Hoops Rehab Show with your host, the Game Injury Doc, and the other host, Eric B. Mack on my right. How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. Doing pretty well. It's a exciting night. 4 games of basketball. I was watching the Dodgers earlier. I'm watching a little bit of some hockey right now. The Kings against the Oilers. So yeah, man, it's a jam-packed evening for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You over there?
Yeah, man, just finished the Clippers-Nuggets game, right? So we saw that, the conclusion of that, which has definitely changed as far as the series, and we'll get into that. But we got a jam-packed show.
Absolutely.
And as always, these are our handles. So at the Game Injury Doc on all social media platforms, and same thing for Eric B. Mack. And then please follow our YouTube channel, the Hoops Rehab Show, along with our wherever you get your podcasts, either Apple or Spotify. We are out there, and we would appreciate if you follow, like, share, download, share with a friend, whatever you need to do. But we'll be here all playoffs long. All right, let's get into it, buddy.
Yes, sir. So as I was saying, it's definitely a little different during the week to have 4 games. I was like looking at the schedule. I'm like, oh, that's right. I didn't even realize there was 4 games. One started at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and that was pretty early for us over here. But yeah, I mean, usually the NBA will save those 4 games for the weekends, and then typically we see 2 to 3 throughout the week or for during weekdays. So yeah, I mean, it was a jam-packed. We got a couple teams that, of course, school is officially out for them, which I know we'll get into later. But yeah, were you able to catch any of the action? I know we're going to get into obviously the Pistons and Knicks first, but what were your thoughts on just the games overall? And then get started.
Yeah, I mean, 4 game 4s on a day. That's pretty impressive right there. And I thought the Pistons Knicks game was elite, right? That's a great series. Going into this game 4, I was like, you know what? This does not seem like a 3-1 going into this game 5. It does not seem like a 3-1 series, right? So Pistons have pretty much had a chance to win in all of these games right here, right? So I just thought they just are better than what their current playoff record shows. So it was a great job by the Pistons to kind of get a win here, force a game 6, get back to Detroit, and I think they're going to force a game 7. What do you think?
So I could see it going 7 for sure. So the road team has now won 4 straight games, starting at the game 2 in New York. So it remains to be seen if a road team could win 5th in a row. And so I did pick the Knicks in 6, but just the way the series has gone, like, I don't want it to stop. I'd love to see a game 7. And so, yeah, I think every game has been very similar, where you can say Detroit has really had an opportunity to win every game. And honestly, though, that does happen in series sometimes where you just a series ends in 5 or 6 and you're like, damn, it was a lot closer than 5 games. And so I didn't know who was going to win tonight. I really didn't. History would typically show that Knicks would have probably wrapped it up, but just the way the games have been going, I am not surprised at all that Detroit went in there and won the game. It was Jalen Brunson's worst game by far out of the 5. And so, it's going to happen sometimes. He had a clunker for sure, and I think that was a big part of it. But selfishly, I wanted Pistons to win because this has been a badass series, and can't wait for I think game 4 is on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So can't wait for Thursday. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Pistons held their starter, New York starters, under 20, right? So nobody on the team even got 20. The closest was OG at 19. Yep. So they play a hell of a defensive game there. And they've been playing it all series, right? So I just think this young Pistons squad, they get some confidence now with this win. They go back to Detroit. Cade's playing obviously like all-star, doing his thing, and they're just getting like a lot of even like Tobias Harris came in, hit some clutch shots after he kind of got banged up a little bit. So I like what I see from them, and I do I mean, what do you think is going to happen in Game 6? Do you think the Knicks are going to close this out, or do you think Pistons are going to force a Game 7?
So I mean, if I'm going with the original prediction, it would be obviously the Knicks to finish it off. But the way the series has been going, Detroit, if they were to lose, that means they would have lost all 3 home games in the series, which is pretty incredible. So I gotta think Detroit's gonna win one at home. And I would have to say it's probably going to go 7 games, and that would be amazing to see. So, I think 7 games for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so there's been 13 teams have come back from 3-1, right? And is Detroit going to be one of those teams to make it the 14th team? Like, I mean, I think they have. I mean, I picked them originally to win the series, so I'm still going to back them. I'm still going to have them win Game 6, and I think they're going to get Game 7. I do feel like the Knicks turned it around when they went up 3-1 and kind of gained that confidence, and like especially in the fourth quarter, knew how to close out a game. I just think that, like, I don't know. I envision the Knicks losing the first round, and then all the backlash is going to be on Tibbs, right? And then you got Mike Malone kind of sitting there in the wings, and I just see that as a pretty good fit for New York. But that's just a hypothetical thing. Not going to say the Knicks are going to completely lose this series, but that's just kind of like a what if kind of happens. If the Knicks were to collapse in this, what would that do for Tibbs and his future in New York?
Yeah, I mean, not only would they be losing in the first round, but they'd be up 3-1. And it's different because they're up 3-1 with the 2 home games versus, like, for example, Lakers, right? They're down 3-1 and they have the 2. They're the team that's down has the 2 home games. So it's a little bit different. So even worse. I'll be honest. I mean, even if the Knicks advance and lose to Boston in pretty like easy fashion, I can see the same kind of backlash because Knicks haven't really taken that leap. I know a lot of it is like your matchups and who you're going to face, but the last few years, Knicks have been kind of knocking on the door to get to the conference finals. And I know it's been injuries. I know it's been kind of luck. And so, if they lose, and obviously they're up 3-1 and they lose to a startup Detroit team that, let's be honest, I mean, it's their first go around. They're probably happy to be there. But yeah, I think Detroit, they smell blood. They know they can play with the Knicks. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they come back, but the pressure is still on the Detroit, right, to get a home win. And then Game 7, you always want it at your house, and obviously Madison Square Garden will be rocking, and I can see Knicks ultimately winning that game in a tight one again. But obviously we gotta see what happens on Thursday at first. But yeah, I never really thought about Michael Malone. I kind of was already thinking about maybe him being the heir apparent to Greg Popovich. Obviously we hope the best for him, and hopefully he comes back and coaches a lot more seasons. But I was thinking about that. But yeah, New York that might be a spot for him for sure. Yeah,
just saying. So New York, don't lose this series. You shouldn't lose this series. But those young Piston bad boys are coming for you. So you better be prepared in the Game 6, or that Game 7 is going to be ruckus in New York. So
absolutely.
Before we get to the next game, like always, please comment in the YouTube chat, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you are streaming from, and we'll try to get to it during the show, or at least towards the end of the show. Get your comments up there and kind of answer those. Tell me what you guys think about the games today. All right, so we got, what's our next one, Eric?
So we got a series that wrapped up. Obviously, the Indiana Pacers defeated the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. What a crazy finish before and after the final horn. I hope you guys all saw that. It was just insane. But I honestly was sitting there at the end of regulation and overtime, and I am still in awe how Indiana pulled out that game. Milwaukee got up to a big lead. No surprise, Indiana came back. It's just the story of today's NBA. With that 3-ball, you can come back pretty quick. But man, I feel Milwaukee really, really had that game. And I don't know what was going to happen the rest of the series if they won tonight, but at the end of the day, it's a 4-1 series loss once again to the Pacers. Milwaukee obviously lost last year in the first round to them. Again, injuries were part of the story. But yeah, I mean, you got to give it up to Indiana. I mean, this is one of these teams that they've been pretty good the last 2 seasons and a little bit underrated. And so here we are. Let's see. Obviously, we'll get into their next matchup at another show. But what did you see overall with that game 5 for that one? Sorry.
I think it was the 4 game 4s that we kept saying in our head. I'm like, no, these are game 5s. Like, we kept saying, like, I was like, wait, there's 4 game 5, 4 game 4s.
I was like, oh, we'll just play on the number 4 and 4. I'm like, no, it's not game 4s because, like, no, but yeah.
That's why I'm game 5s tonight.
5s.
But no, I like what I saw out of Milwaukee, right? They didn't go like away. Like a lot of these teams that have been getting eliminated so far or schools out. Memphis blown out. Miami blown out. Actually, Memphis didn't get blown out in that game, but previous games before that. And then Orlando tonight got blown out, right? So it was good to see the Bucks stay in it, fight. They just kind of gave it up towards the end. What were those stats on the Bucks tonight when the fourth and the overtime? Or were they up again?
Yeah, that was a crazy thing. So in the end of regulation, they're up 4 with 40 seconds left. And they just gave up a quick 3 and couple, just obviously it got to overtime. And then the bigger lead they had, which I thought for sure it was over in OT, again, 40 seconds, and they're up by 7. I mean, if you're up by 7 with 40 seconds left, you're almost probably not, I guarantee you there were probably 99% chance they were going to win that. And so
for sure,
again, a big 3, it was 2 turnovers in OT that really did them in. And then obviously Haliburton taking it on Giannis, getting that layup. Milwaukee didn't have any timeouts left, obviously a second and change. And that wasn't enough time to get a good shot off. Crazy though.
Yeah. I mean, it was just going to be hard regardless. Without Dame, they're just a totally different team. Obviously, they benched Kuzma tonight because he has been as bad as he could be during this playoff run. And probably essentially being with Milwaukee Bucks, he has not been anything that they really traded for. So they kind of went away from him tonight. And Gary Trent Jr. has been kind of balling since he's been in the starting lineup. But Tyrese Haliburton had proved this series again in the playoffs that he is that guy. I mean, you got to think about Tyrese a little differently because he's not going to get 30 to 40 every game or anything. Like he might have some games where he explodes, but he's definitely a true point guard, right? He averaged 11.2 assists in the series, 17 points, and just overall was in control of the whole series and really just controlled his Pacer team really well. And obviously won the game-winning shot. So I like to see that. Now, his dad running on the floor with the little Tyrese towel on Giannis's face, I would say that is not ideal. And he already said in the press conference that he obviously does not agree with his dad going on the court like that and getting in Giannis's face. Because the first clips on Twitter and everything where Giannis was just all up in this guy's grill, and you're like, why is he going after this old man? But then when you kind of see the other replays and things like that, you see what provoked him. And, Giannis is going to have a conversation with him. He's always going to be a stand-up guy and just really talk to the guy. So,
yeah, that was intense.
What do you think about the aftermath? And then the other guy came up on him as well in Indiana. So there's a little bit much going on.
Yeah, it was like Benedict Mathurin. I don't know what that was. It was very strange. Like, it was like they were, so obviously there's a lot of emotions. It's a crazy game. Like, obviously you're down, you're like you said, you're up 7, you lose that game, you're going home. I'm sure emotions got to be high. Terrible feeling, obviously. And then you got Haliburton's dad, like, obviously taunting you. And so it was crazy. Like, I felt there was like a scuffle, and then cooler heads kind of like prevailed for a second. Oh, right. Dapping each other, high five, hugging. And then all of a sudden it just started up again. Like Giannis with what's this, with what's his name again?
Benedict.
Benedict. Yeah. And so like, I didn't really look it up I don't know if they have a history with each other or something. I have no idea, but, they were saying something. And then I saw Giannis kind of like running into the back, kind of chasing after someone, and, the Milwaukee personnel kind of holding him back, and security. And so, it was definitely an intense finish, and it obviously carried over to kind of like when a series is over, you traditionally have players and obviously teams kind of hug it out and whatever, give a congratulations, and there was a lot of that, but there was also some scuffling. So pretty crazy to see for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to see the end of a game. Usually it's more, you guys are shaking hands, talking about what they're going to do for the summer, all that stuff. And then, it's like, it's at the NBA fraternity. So when you see something like that, it's like, whoa, what exactly is going on? Yeah, so it was a little strange, but it happens, and you got to move on from it. I know Giannis was in his press conference, and he was talking about everything that was going on, and kind of like his history, coming from where he thinks like was just disrespect. And so I get it, right? You just lost the game, it's kind of emotional, and then you feel disrespected by somebody coming on the court who's not even in the NBA. So totally understand why Giannis was, held his own with it, and hopefully we'll see something like that again.
Yeah. Yep. I know. I'm sure obviously cooler heads will prevail. And, like, I think in the press conference, they just probably most likely squashed it, and it is what it is. I mean, all series long, they were chirping. When you're in a battle, even if it's just 5 games, like you really get annoyed at each other. You really start to not like each other. You see each other every other day. And so, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I know we thought Milwaukee would probably come through. We didn't know anything. I mean, we knew Dame would come back. We obviously couldn't predict that he was going to be injured. I think regardless, it was going to be tough for them to win it. Probably would have been obviously a long series. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, Milwaukee had some great chances. Like you said, they definitely didn't go out like that. They felt they belong. They played really hard, and they really should have won the game. And they're going to be thinking about it all summer, because man, that was a tough way to go out for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. You don't want to see it like that, but end of the day, everybody will enjoy the off season together. So let's get into another series that is probably, I would say, either that or the Pistons series is one of the best in the first round. The Nuggets and the Clippers. And for me, this series has been so unpredictable because I felt like the Clippers had the upper hand in this series, and that Aaron Gordon dunk to win the game in Game 4 has pretty much just changed the trajectory of the series, right? So what do you see with that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I think for both of us, we did have Clippers winning the series, and so obviously they still could win, but it's looking a lot different than after Game 3. So, as we know, Clippers, the first 2 games, I would say that were in Denver, they split that. Clippers, I think, played definitely better out of the 2 teams. Game 3, they really dominated the Nuggets. So, from what we were hearing, right, and I think we talked about it, like Michael Porter Jr., he typically would have been out 4 to 5 weeks. Yeah. Aaron Gordon says he couldn't jump. Obviously, Murray just seemed to be a shell of himself. And Game 4, all of a sudden, they had a 20-point lead, and they did give it up. So Clippers, to their credit, they actually got up by 1. And I was like, damn, see, like, this is what we thought, right? Even though Denver built a lead, they're just going to be exhausted because they're not playing many guys. So the dunk that Aaron Gordon, who apparently or supposedly can't jump, really, really changed the complexion. Like, I've never seen anything like that. For us Laker fans, we know about the 0.4 with Derek Fisher. So that was like another, kind of like quote unquote miracle play. But this was a dunk. And I mean, literally by just a smidge, I guess he looks like he got it off. So, but That's what happens. Plays like that, and now look, right? It's 2-2. You knew Jamal Murray, was due to have a big game. I had flashbacks of Lakers and Denver watching tonight because he was balling. He was hitting the three. He had a pep in his step. He was shimmying. He was talking shit, right? And so the Joker, obviously, he still played well, but he didn't have his typical productivity. I believe he had 13 points. Let me double check that. Yeah, 13 points. Still had that triple double, right? 12 assists, 10 rebounds. So he still filled up the stat sheet. But yeah, Clippers are obviously in trouble when you're down 3-2 and there's 2 left. They obviously, I think they could win at home and maybe bring it back to Denver. But obviously, for the Clipper faithful and the Clippers themselves, it's going to be tough to win the series now, I believe.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, playoff Jamal Murray, right, is just like something of legends because it just doesn't make any sense. In the regular season, he averages not that much, and then in the playoffs, he just goes to another level. So him to have 43 tonight is one way to say he's like back because remember going into the playoffs, he kind of had a hamstring injury that he was out for a while, and then just kind of was getting his footing back, I would say, in the first couple games, and then just kind of getting his rhythm back. And I think that has clicked now. And if they got Jamal going off and Russell Westbrook coming off the bench getting his, especially after the injury that he suffered, and now he's able to come back. I mean, they're scary times. They remind me of like the championship Nuggets, right? The only problem to me is that they still don't have the depth. They only play basically 7 guys, maybe 8 if they're lucky, but essentially it's just 7 guys. So I think that will wear on them as they go into if they get past the Clippers and go into the next round. That might be something difficult, but those 7 guys are pretty clutch guys, right? When you just go down the lineup, you got Joker, Murray, Gordon, Porter, Westbrook, and then even Braun, right? So these are like pretty clutch guys, and everybody on there has won a championship except for Westbrook. So I think they do have the championship pedigree. And now that they kind of put the Clippers in chokehold right here, I would be worried for the Clippers in Game 6. I was so confident in the Clippers, and now it seems like the Clippers are clipping. So
I didn't want to say it right because they obviously had a pretty good end of the year, and they're playing a tough ass Denver team. But I mean, of course it's going to go one way or the other, but I could see maybe James Harden. He did not have a good game. He's going to hear the noise about his playoff performances the next couple nights. And so they might get a little tight. Like you said, heart of a champion. The Big Four have been there, done that. Still got that championship pedigree. And so they know what it takes. They know how to be successful in a long series like this one and kind of finish games off. And they may have woken up a sleeping giant, which is Jamal Murray. And so if he has like another game like this in him, good night, Clippers, I'd say.
Yeah. I just think that like momentum swings in series like the Aaron Gordon dunk are just difference makers because they're just like they still like to steal a game in that fashion, especially when the Clippers felt like they had just come back and won that game, right? And then now it's like your momentum has been shifted, your spirits are down. Now you're on the road to go back to Denver, and Denver has basically the home court advantage, right, going into that Game 5 because they're going to have 2 at home, regardless. So, just difficult for a Clippers team to kind of weather the storm there. And they looked a little shell shocked today and didn't really stay up with the Nuggets like they have been in the series.
Yeah, when you're like the idea of when you have home court is you really want at the very least to be 2-2 because you're technically in control because you still got that 2 of 3 at home. So a lot of times you got that home Game 5, and then you got two outs basically, right, to get one. So I'm expecting a big, probably from a points perspective, Joker Game 6. And sure Clippers will be favored, and wouldn't mind seeing a game 7 because I feel like that would be like a knock them out, drag them out type of game. I think it would be a little different than tonight's game, and it would probably anyone's game. But you'd obviously have to favor Denver there. So things have definitely flipped, and obviously you got OKC kind of just chilling. They swept their series. They're going to be facing most likely, probably especially if it goes 7. They're going to be facing one tired team. And so I already see like them having the advantage next round, which obviously we'll get to when we get there. But yeah, man, definitely a little bit surprised about the last 2 games and Denver picking up the victories.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I personally got Nuggets now in 6. I think they're going to finish it off. Do you see this going 7?
I think. I would say Nuggets will win it in 7.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what happens. All right. So next segment, we're doing the usual. Something happened today. So where we talk about injuries around the league and kind of what's going on with key players. There are a couple that I think that are important to kind of talk about. And that's Jalen Brunson. I wouldn't necessarily say he had a new injury. It's just the same ankle that he seems to be tweaking or spraining or just turning the ankle like in multiple games this playoff so far. And I talked about this before when he originally had the injury. He had a pretty severe ankle sprain, so probably a good grade 2 or grade 3 ankle sprain. So from that point on, the ankle is just completely laxed and it just has a little bit too much motion. So you can see some of these sprains are not even coming with contact. He's literally just planting his foot and his foot turns, right? So that's what tends to happen when you have a pretty severe ankle sprain and you're still in the same season. You can have a tendency to turn it really easily or do it when you're just putting down your foot, right? So I think he's battling, and I think it affected him towards the end of this game. But hopefully moving forward, it's something that he can just continue to play through because we know he is tough as nails. I just think that it brings another element to this series that he's not 100%, right? So that makes it a little difficult.
Oh yeah, I think so if they would have won tonight, they'd obviously would have moved on. Probably would have had about a week off, right? And so that would be big for somebody like him. So yeah, it's not only going to affect this series. He had his worst game in the series, as I mentioned. And I mean, one of the things that we'll probably point to is that ankle and the lift. And, and so we'll see if he's not near 100%, which I know he's not, but if he's not near what Jalen Brunson could be, then Detroit will definitely win this series. And so can only not even think about Boston at this point. So yeah, it's just one of these things that are, like you mentioned, like since he heard it March 1st or whatever it was, it's probably going to just bug him all playoffs, unfortunately. Yeah,
that's for sure. And just put this comment out there, my man Cam Miller. Yes, Brunson was definitely hobbled with the ankle. And I think it's like a compound effect. So he keeps turning it. So now his pain level is probably going up and he might be having some swelling. So I'm sure he's having to, he has a solid brace on there, or at least a solid tape job. But he's going to have some limited mobility, and it might be something he's dealing with the rest of the 2 games there in the series and moving forward if they get past this round. Thanks, Cam.
Hey, Cam.
And so the other one I want to talk about, which is important for when we think about this previous series with the Pistons and the Knicks, but it's Jrue Holiday, right? So he's missed the last 3 games with what they essentially are just saying a hamstring injury. I kind of did some digging, and it did show that he suffered a hamstring strain in game 2. So that was something that I felt like was very low key, and they were just kind of talking about how, oh yeah, we're going to keep him out game 3, and then maybe a precaution for game 4. And then when he kind of missed the game 5, you're like, okay, this is, maybe something that he's particularly dealing with. And so if you think about grades with hamstring strains, and if it was, say, just a grade 1, a mild hamstring strain, it's still about 7 to 10 days for healing time. And so I think they are trying to give him that. And this Knicks Pistons series is helping them get more time, right? So if the Pistons force another game to game 7, then again, the Boston Celtics are at least giving Jrue Holiday a little bit more time. basically because they're done with their series now. But I am a little concerned because, like, once you miss 2-3 games in a playoff series, when playoffs you're supposed to play every game no matter what. And obviously Tatum has come back from his injury and he's playing through some pain, and Brown's playing through some pain. Porzingis is playing through some pain, and the fact that Holiday couldn't go is concerning, I think, for Boston, probably the Boston Celtics fans. What do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, Holiday is a big piece of what they do, and I'm pretty sure if it was just like 1 or 2 games, it would have been like, you know what, they probably feel they can take care of Orlando without him, which they did. Yeah, when you miss playoff games, especially 3 in a row, you know something's up. Again, I mentioned earlier, they're probably not going to play for a week, even if this goes. Even if the Knicks finish it off on Thursday, they probably won't play till Monday or Tuesday, I presume. Okay. And so, yeah, they're going to get almost a week off, if not a full week. And so it'll be interesting to see if he plays that game 1. If he doesn't, then you know it's pretty serious. But yeah, those little nagging injuries, again, I don't think it's going to really affect things in the next round. But once you get to Cleveland, yeah, it's going to have to be all hands on deck. And so, they might be fortunate with time, like meaning their, an Eastern Conference Finals wouldn't start for a bit, although they still have to play the games, and they're obviously going to have an opponent regardless in the second round. But it's been under the radar a little bit, and so I know you did some digging there, and so they're going to need him for sure.
Yep. And the last player that I have is Maxi Kleber. So he has been upgraded to questionable for the Lakers for tomorrow's Game 5 must win. So originally when they put him on the playoff roster, I kind of thought, well, there's no reason to really put him on the roster unless you know that he's going to come back. And we kind of forgot about him for about 4 games. And then all of a sudden you see that he's been cleared and you're like, oh, desperate times, right? So I think he's obviously he's been training and kind of doing basketball related activities for a couple weeks now. So I think he is getting there. He just hasn't played a game in a long time. Yeah. So my question to you is, will he be a difference maker in this Game 5? Will he be the person that puts the Lakers at least into the next game?
My ideal situation for Game 5, which I know we're going to get into in a second, is like Lakers kind of win going away, and then maybe he can get some minutes there, right? Just to like kind of get a feel of kind of playing and getting in an actual like NBA, and it's going to be a playoff game. So to answer your question, I don't think he's going to be a difference if it's close. He may dress. It looks like he will probably, him just being questionable. But I think they'll just kind of play it by ear, or they may say, hey, can we get lightning in a bottle? And hope that he hits a couple threes and defends a little bit, because he's known to be a pretty decent defender. I know we talked about it like before the playoffs. So last year when he was on Dallas, he had an injury and he came back in the finals and really kind of was a shell of himself. And really wasn't productive. And obviously that's a tough spot to kind of come back in, which this is too, because Minnesota is very tough and they're obviously in a 3-1 hole. So I don't know if he's going to play a big part. I already explained what I hope is the case, but what about you? What would be your prediction in terms of his minutes and what effect he has on the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I think he's going to take Jackson Hayes' minutes. So if he was playing 9 minutes a game, Jackson Hayes, I'm pretty sure Maxi Kleber is going to play about 9 to 10 minutes there.
Yeah,
and I think if he can provide that spark in terms of maybe hitting an open 3, right? Him and obviously Luka played together, and they kind of have that connection as far as pick and rolls and things like that. So that pick and pop for a 3, or at least playing some pretty good defense on, say, like a Naz Reid or somebody like that, I think that would be important. And it gives the Lakers a little bit more size at that 5, obviously. And so I think as far as predicting what their lineup's going to be tomorrow, I think it's going to be that same starting 5 that we saw in the second half. And then you're sprinkling in Vando, Gabe Vincent, and probably Kleber, in my opinion. Those would be kind of the 8 guys that they roll with, and then maybe a little Goodwin too if they need some defense as well.
So you think Hayes has seen his last minutes in this series?
Yes, I do.
I know JJ said TBD in terms of what the lineup's going to be, but
he's not starting.
Yeah, because if you would imagine if it was like, no, we're going to go with the same starting lineup, maybe he would have just said that, right?
Yeah, and if he's not starting, I was looking at kind of the film and looking at Game 4, and I think if he's not starting, he's just not playing. Like it's like as soon as he came out in that second half, there was just no way he was going to come back into that game. Even if the Lakers actually substituted somebody in that game, I don't think he was coming in. He was like, if you looked at where he was on the bench, he was like completely behind the bench. Like I was trying to look for him the whole time. I'm like, where is Jackson? He's 7 foot. Like, how can I not see him? And then I kind of saw him in the back with like a t-shirt, like almost like he didn't even have his warm up on. I'm like, this dude is not going in the game. And so I essentially think he's been benched. And I think that Kleber moving to that questionable tag, I think that makes a big difference. My only question is, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You are. You're fine.
I was thinking, do you go with that same lineup of that 5 in the second half to start the game, or would you do something like Vando at the 5 instead of DFS?
I mean, one side of me is like, it's go time, just go with the best guys. But I think I posted on Twitter yesterday, or this morning. So the first 6 minutes of games 1 to 4, the Lakers have outscored the T-Wolves 60-42. So I think we kind of figured that might be just a coincidence versus like Hayes having an impact, because he obviously has come out in the beginning of the third quarters and it hasn't been the same. So I am kind of leaning towards maybe having Vando start and just to have a little bit of ammo coming off the bench with DFS. So I think they might go with that 5 guy lineup that we saw for 24 minutes. But I think if it were me, I would support having Vando start. What about you?
Yeah, I don't mind that to start the game. It gives you a little bit of defense up at that 5 there, and I think his minutes have been sporadic throughout the whole series. So maybe get him a little confidence, get him to probably put him on Ant right away, and then have Rui or LeBron be on Gobert. I think that would probably be a okay move for them to do. So I can see either way. I can see either they're just going with that lineup that they saw was pretty effective, and kind of bringing those guys off the bench as well. So it could go. To me, I don't think JJ's going to reveal. Yeah, he's not going to reveal his cards until probably game time. But I think they're more than likely going in with the lineup that they had success with in the last game.
Yep. Those 5 guys. We obviously can't only see 5 guys. The only 5 guys I want is the hamburger, cheeseburger, the restaurant, because that I mean, we obviously already went into that. But obviously, I guarantee you, we will see some players from the bench tomorrow night.
They're not going to play 48 minutes this time, unless JJ has just lost his mind.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously kind of segueing into the next topic, but which we're already there. But I had a question for you. So JJ did, as you can imagine, he was asked quite a bit, and he did say that he asked the guys if they needed a blow, and they said no. My question to you is, should you trust your guys in that situation, or as a head coach, should you kind of see with your eyes or kind of fill it out, and you got to make that move regardless of what your players are telling you?
Who's the leader of the team?
Well, I mean, in most cases, it should be the head coach, but obviously, I'm sure a lot of people may think it might be, more player driven these days. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have a coach for a reason, right?
Yeah. You got to make those decisions, man. I mean, even if LeBron, Kobe, MJ, they're all going to say we can play anytime, any place, as many minutes as possible. It's your decision to make sure you get the most out of your guys. And so if that's giving your guy a blow for 1 to 2 minutes, that's what you do. I think he should have been aware that LeBron was tired in the previous game in the fourth quarter and had 0 points, right? That should have been something in his head, or at least his assistant coaches or somebody on the coaching staff would have let him know that, right? So to give him some sort of break to allow him to have the most energy he can have going into the fourth. And I also think that's part of the issue, like just moving forward too with LeBron, is just that there are games where he takes over a fourth quarter, but he's got to be able to conserve some of this energy. And they spent so much in that third that he just didn't have it in the fourth. So you got to be conscious of that. And I think obviously he will do a much better job in game 5 with that.
Yeah. And I hope, these guys should be professionals, but there could be a little bit of confidence loss, right? Like you're essentially benched in the second half. And now it's like, hey guys, sorry, we're going to need you now, And so, again, they're NBA players. They probably have been through things like this before, probably have been told no many times. And hopefully that's not a problem, but it was something that kind of crept in my mind. It was like, damn, like they were obviously kind of told like, hey, we're not going to need you in this game 4 of a playoff game. And now we're going to really need you. So that'll be something to look forward to tomorrow night as well.
Yeah. And I do like the fact that, JJ's going into this game like this is a game 7, and pretty much every game is a game 7 from this point on out. So I expect the Lakers to really up the intensity and get it done in game 5. And then it's just the biggest game in history is going to game 6, right? And Minnesota. That's like the ultimate test, right? Like, can you go into a ruckus crowd and with Ant-Man, what he's going to bring, the tenacity that he's going to come at you with. So I think if they can get game 5, pretend like it's a game 7 and game 6 as well, then you roll back home for the real game 7. And at that point, all holds bars, you just go and you have to handle business in that game. So I'm still on the liking that they could be one of the 14 teams to ever come back from 3-1. And so I'm going to go with that. But you got to play every game like it's a game 7. So I agree with JJ on that, and I love that energy from him.
Yeah, there is going to be another team in history that's going to come back from down 3-1, and we just don't know when it's going to happen, and hopefully it's going to be this series. The only crappy part about having a couple of days off as a fan is you start to kind of get excited and you're like, ooh, maybe they can do it. They just got to win one game at a time, and they can, but it's going to be real tough, as we pointed out the other night. Just got to get tomorrow. And that sometimes I don't want to say it's the toughest game, because the toughest game to me will be game 6, but it is tough because you could say all the things that you can say, and you can say that we're still confident, but you got to go in there and do it. And Minnesota, if they're greedy and they're like, hey, we don't want to give this team life, we know that games 3 and 4 could have gone either way. And we've got to take care of business, or else we got a confident team flying back with us to Minnesota. Luka's not going to be sick, right? I believe. And so I think that really obviously hurt him in the fourth quarter, game 4, as he was coming off an illness. And I know it's an excuse and people are going to say that, but at the end of the day, the guy was probably still coming off being ill. So just looking forward to it tomorrow, and just got to get that dub and go from there.
Yeah. The good thing is they should be well rested, so I think that will benefit them in this game. So let's see what happens.
Yep.
All right. So we're to our final segment, which is called School's Out. Time for summer vacation. Who we got tonight, Eric?
So we got 3 teams, because we do got to count Miami from the other night, but I kind of wanted to get started maybe with the Milwaukee Bucks.
All right.
The drill. You know the drill.
Time for summer vacay.
Got to get my goggles, and obviously
Giannis going to be at the beach. I got a little bucket.
Don't bring sand. Got to bring sand to the beach.
Sand to the beach, baby.
You know what I'm saying? And so As I said, we're going to start with the Bucks. Obviously, they lost the series to Indiana 4-1. They finished the regular season 48-34, fifth seed in the East. Unfortunately, after their championship, this is the fourth season in a row that they have had a major injury, and they have gone home early. This is the third year in a row that it's been in the first round. So year one was Middleton, then Giannis the last couple of years, and then of course Dame this year. So, man, don't envy that. It's been really, really, really tough. They're in a tough position. I don't know kind of where they go from here. They pretty much are in salary cap purgatory. They don't have much draft capital. The free agent that they have is Brook Lopez. I think he's probably most likely going to part ways with the team. I think his role has kind of diminished as the season has gone on. Bobby Portis does have an opt-in at a pretty high dollar amount, so it's expected for him to opt in. So I don't know, man. They are kind of in no man's land. They got Dame that may come back next year. Obviously, we talked about that most likely late in the year. And again, what kind of Dame will he be? So what do you think is on deck for Milwaukee this season? Is this Giannis's perhaps his last game as a Buck? Is that something you see?
I think Giannis is going to be in Greece with his bucket right here. And he's going to be contemplating his next team while sitting on the beach in Greece. I don't know. This is something that I feel is going to be a tough one for the Bucks to recover. I mean, the Dame injury put a whole new wrinkle into their offseason plans and what they were planning on doing this year. And so I think that, not having Dame next year and just kind of that tenure with Dame has not been so smooth like they thought it would be. He might ride out another year, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other rumblings in the department of the Milwaukee Bucks there. So
especially if a couple of the big teams go out early, your Lakers, I don't know what the heck we'd have to offer, but you were going to hear about that. Maybe the Knicks, maybe the Rockets. So you're going to hear some teams along with obviously Kevin Durant too. And so, I mean, he's got 2 seasons left under contract before he has an opt out. But in today's day and age in the NBA, being in contract, a lot of times it doesn't mean much. He could probably force the hand, and they could probably get a nice package for him. And so when the time comes, if he does ask for a trade, then we got to start looking at teams that have a lot of draft picks and things like that. But man, it's tough, and they're just again in kind of purgatory where they are going to kind of be similar ball club as this year, probably middle of the pack in the East. But tough spot to be in for sure.
That's for sure. And I know one team that has a nice summer vacation spot, and that's the Miami Heat. They are they're gonna stay in Miami and just party all summer. And one thing that I thought about with the Miami Heat is Pat Riley still going to be there? Pat Riley, I think, is 80 or pushing 80, pretty close there. So I'm not sure if the whole Jimmy Butler issue and everything that kind of came out with that, if it's his time to kind of step down and kind of let some other direction go with his team. I'm not sure on that, but I know they're going to be partying in Miami or maybe somewhere else out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like they're partying after game 2 because those 2 games in Miami were just brutal.
Yeah.
They were the 10th seed. They finished this season 37-45. You should really not be in the playoffs with that record. Obviously, when you trade Jimmy Butler, you're kind of telling your fan base that you probably are in rebuild mode. And Miami usually, obviously they wanted some chips, and they've always been pretty relative. So I see them making some smart basketball decisions in terms of free agents. So they have Davion Mitchell and Alec Burks, who are currently free agents. Everybody else is kind of under contract. So barring some trades, which definitely could happen. You might see the same ball club again. I would imagine they probably are going to try to. Terry Rozier is probably a name that, and they probably want to get off his contract, and Duncan Robinson's name I think I saw. Yep. But yeah, they're another team that's kind of middle of the pack. They are the play-in specialists, so for them, they probably rather just tank and kind of build through the draft. So yeah, I mean they're already like in a nice place for summer vacation, getting out of school. But we'll see what comes for them in the summer.
Yeah, for sure. And we got our last team on summer vacation, and they might be going to Disney World because that is the Orlando Magic. So they had a tough going in this first round. I think they were missing Jalen Suggs big time in this series in general of what he brings on the team. But what do you see with the Magic moving forward?
I gotta say, even though it was a 5-game series, I gotta say Boston's probably gonna like kind of like a sigh of relief with like their next opponent. Even though like Detroit and the Knicks can be kind of gritty, but Orlando was just like on their behinds defensively. We know that Orlando is one of the better defensive teams in the league, and so I think tonight it finally I think Boston at the second half finally figured them out and obviously took them out. Yeah. But Orlando, so they finished 41-41, 7th in the East. So a little bit of a disappointment because last year they were 47-35, 5th seed in the East. And so I think injuries definitely played a part in that. And so they started off pretty hot in the year, and then we had a lot of injuries and kind of fell off. And so I think the future is bright. They obviously have some young stars. When Suggs gets back next year, that's just going to be obviously an addition just by like having someone come back from injury. I think Mo Wagner is their main free agent coming up this year. I think they got his bird right, so it's probably a good opportunity that they're going to re-sign him. I know he was injured as well, but yeah, I mean, I think when you have like teams like Orlando, kind of small market, they're probably going to stick with what they got, which is not bad right now. I mean, they got some players and they got a little bit of sprinkle of veteran leadership with KCP. So, I mean, they're not going to be a big player in free agency and probably none of these like blockbuster trades. So they're probably going to just, like I said, kind of stick with what they got and hope that another year of a progression with this young team kind of leads to some more success next year.
That's for sure. And that will be a wrap to the schools out summer vacation mode. Every day, there's probably going to be a new one in the series. So we'll get to it right there. When we get to
hope not tomorrow night. Let's hope not.
Let's hope it's not the Lakers tomorrow. That'd be disappointing. But my man Cam Miller said, when the Denver Nuggets win, you need to have snow. If we can get some fake snow, that's where we'd be going for a winter vacation, but some summer vacation. I like it. We'll be on tomorrow night with the Hoops Rehab show to kind of break down the Lakers game and the other game, the Warriors and Rockets game tomorrow. So any last words, Eric?
All I got to say is go Lakers tomorrow. Got to get that W.
Game 7, even though it's a game 5.
Absolutely.
Get the dub, Lakers. From your team, the Hoops Rehab show is out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Yes, sir. We out.